And as we wind off the news on local matters, we would like to talk about a matter that is often overlooked at property wealth investment, particularly on the African continent. And Dr. Daniel Moses is a serial entrepreneur, podcast host, Amazon best-selling author, and award-winning property and business coach. He is a founder of Property Wealth Corporation, a company which specializes in providing investment opportunities, professional training, and professional services to the property industry. And we are very glad and honored to have him tonight in our BS studios. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Right. We understand you have started as an Uber driver in London, and you grew to become a successful property investor. This is quite a transition that is not very easy to comprehend and understand at first when someone hears of it. Can you briefly share with us your journey towards becoming who you are today?
Oh, thank you so much for that question. The actual fact was that I became a taxi driver after going through a bankruptcy challenge in 2015. And I basically quitted being an entrepreneur. And I was only looking for ways to get back, to bounce back, and after that massive loss. So I drove Uber for a couple of years. And through that, I wanted to pick up myself back as an entrepreneur. You know, they say the spirit of the entrepreneurs never die. So I found real estate investments, and I decided to do deep research into becoming a property entrepreneur. And very, very quickly, 6 years later, we managed to grow from 2017 to 2023 and built a 7-figure business, now heading towards an 8-figure business by the end of this year, 2024. It's been a very interesting transition because, you know, one of the things about the entrepreneurial spirit is that as long as you don't quit, it never dies.
Right.
And the truth be also told, you know, when you've been through so many challenges in life like that, you have to always look for how do you bounce back, because they say it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you can bounce back. And so becoming a real estate entrepreneur was intentional, was obviously divine as well, because I'm a God believer, and as well as working tirelessly back all the way up. When you had the challenge of losing so much money, you know, about 8 years ago, and building it back, yes, absolutely, you're very right. It's quite a massive shift.
Talking about that, I'm really so mind blown. How could someone manage to bounce back from zero to such a greater heights after falling to such a big extent? And what can you say inspired you to come back from such a humbling beginning to where you are today?
I think one of the biggest, mindset shift that allowed me to bounce back after such a massive fall is to welcome challenges, is to welcome failure. Before 2015, when I actually went through that situation where I lost my entire business to the tune of over £150,000 and even being suicidal at that point, where I basically lost everything.
Yeah.
So it's the fact that I was able to welcome challenge. I had to remap my brain. I had to rewire my brain.
Yeah.
It's just like coming into Rwanda, you know, as an African, and I'm actually asking myself, am I in Africa or am I in the West? People here are basically very, very cordial, very straight to the point.
Yeah.
Everybody is very obedient. Everybody is basically, very humble. So the fact is, when you lose so many things in life, you have to rewire your brain that things can work again. You know, I'm so super excited being in Rwanda because I'm seeing everything working.
Yeah.
And that's the same mindset I had to adopt after losing many things. You know, in the West, when people hear of Africa, there's so much negativity, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, when you lose so much, regardless of the negativity that you are, you want to look forward, you want to be able to bounce back and say, actually, you can be the greatest version. You can bounce back again no matter, how that challenge looked like.
Since you brought it up, let's talk about Rwanda. I understand you're planning to and looking into ways of, investing in Rwanda. Why Rwanda, and in what specific sectors of Rwanda's sector are you looking to venture into?
Well, as a very successful property developer and a property entrepreneur in the UK, we have built something from nothing, absolutely nothing in the UK. You know, like I said, I came from challenges where I had nothing. You know, and just less than 7 years ago, we've been able to come back. We've become a trusted name in the United Kingdom. And as a very successful property developer and property entrepreneur, we have already created a system that works in the UK. Obviously, you know, when you are a black entrepreneur, you have a lot, you know, to prove at every given point in time that is working.
Yeah.
All right. And bringing what has worked, which is what we've created in the UK, into a country that I can see, you know, will be the center of Africa's development in general. You know, like I said, I'm so pleased with Rwanda.
Yeah.
You know, everything seems to be working. Everything seems to just be in the right part it should go. I don't miss England being here at the moment. So if I want to take something out of the shores of, you know, of the West, being, for example, England, it should be Rwanda, because everything is working here. And I know 20 years from now, Rwanda has not just an African voice, it's going to become a global business hub.
Yeah.
So it's better to tap in now before a lot of diasporas, you know, can start regretting it. So part of the reason why I want to bring the same model here, you know, to develop my real estate, you know, portfolio in the, you know, in this great nation.
Okay, and do you think property wealth investment is something that that has been a bit left out or overlooked at on the African continent as one of the main sources for the development of Africa's economy? And if yes, what do you think African investors should wake up to in terms of you know, giving more attention to this particular sector?
Thank you for that question. Absolutely. I think Africa has been left out in the real estate, you know, and property development completely.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things in the country that I come from, the United Kingdom, the property market in the UK plays a very significant role in its economy.
Yeah.
Right? And at the moment in Africa, I don't think we're taking a lot of advantages enough at the moment to tap into the real estate industry. You know, in the UK, I'm going to keep referring back to the UK if you don't mind.
Yeah.
In the UK, we have multiple, you know, property, you know, strategies, you know, or multiple property path. So the commercial real estate works in the UK, the residential work in the UK, and let's break the residential into three. For example, you have the residential for the general, you know, residents or nationals of the country, which is massive housing. You have the family residential, and then you also have, you know, residential for the others, you know, people who are retiring, people who need care, people who need support, and so on. And I can go on and on and on and mention different types of housing.
Yeah.
And Africa hasn't really tapped into that type of real estate. You know, even the luxury real estate, you know, if you go to the West, you have a lot of iconic buildings, a building that has a story to tell about it.
Yeah.
But again, Africa hasn't got that. But yes, we have so much lands. We have so much opportunity to put African real estate on the global map, and as well as funding. Okay? In the United Kingdom, statistics have proven that over the last 1,000 years, that property tends to go up in value every 10 to 15, 20 years.
Right.
And again, it is absolutely funded because of the subsidization of the market, number one. Number two, because of the absolutely available fund that is available.
Yeah.
Like, again, mortgage processes and mortgage systems.
Yeah.
To buy a house in the United Kingdom, you need a 25% deposit to access a 75% mortgage. So these are things that the governments across Africa can also look into, but obviously picking the brains of entrepreneurs like myself and many others who have been able to take the center stage and say, how can we bring this to Africa, and how can we make housing available, whether it be in care, whether it be in residential or commercial, how can we make this available so that we all, you know, can take Africa by storm, and real estate of Africa can be on the center stage in the West and as well as Africa.
Absolutely. Dr. Daniel Moses, I wish we had you for the next at least 1 hour to explore more on this particular sector, but regardless, thank you very much for the short and sweet time on Rwanda Television News tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. My pleasure.
All right.